Have you ever felt like life has been whispering to you, nudging you, giving you little signals that something needs to change? Maybe it came in the form of a quiet frustration that you can't shake off. Maybe it's that voice at night when you lay in bed, knowing deep down you're meant for more than what you're currently living. Or maybe it's the pain of staying the same, the heaviness that comes from repeating the same patterns, the same struggles over and over again. Listen to me carefully. This moment right here, this message you're hearing is not an accident. Out of everything you could be doing right now, you ended up here. That's not chance. It's a sign. And if you're honest with yourself, you know it. Because deep down, tired of waiting for the right time, you're tired of talking about change instead of living it. The truth is, nothing will ever shift in your life until you decide that today is the day. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. Because if you don't take control of your story, life will keep writing it for you. And I promise you, this life doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards action. So I want you to lean in, open your heart, open your mind, and give me your full attention. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why this moment, right here, right now, is the sign you've been waiting for to finally change your life. There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight of reality presses so hard against them that they can't ignore it anymore. It's not a gentle nudge. It's not a polite suggestion. It's a wake-up call, loud, undeniable, and unshakable. Some people hear it after years of frustration. Some hear it after losing something they thought they couldn't live without. And others hear it in the silence, in that space where their soul whispers, this isn't who I'm meant to be. And the truth is, you've been getting those signals for a long time. They've been everywhere through your relationships, your health, your career, your energy, your emotions. Life has been trying to get your attention, not to punish you, but to remind you that you're not living at the level you're capable of. But here's the challenge. Most people keep hitting the snooze button on life's wake-up calls. They hear it, they feel it, and instead of answering, they bury it under distraction. They drown it out with scrolling on their phones, binge watching shows, overworking, overeating, or numbing themselves in ways that keep them from confronting the truth. Because the truth is uncomfortable. The truth forces you to look in the mirror and admit that you've settled, that you've been surviving instead of thriving, that you've allowed fear, doubt, or comfort to dictate the quality of your life. The hardest part, deep down, you know you're capable of so much more. I want you to think about this. How many times in your life have you felt that spark, that gut feeling telling you something had to change? Maybe you hated waking up every day dreading the job you go to. Maybe you looked at yourself in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. Maybe you realize that the relationships in your life no longer fuel you, they drain you. Maybe you've been walking around with dreams so alive inside of you, but you've buried them under the excuse of someday. That's not by accident. That's life. That's the universe. That's your own inner wisdom calling out to you saying, enough is enough. This isn't your ceiling. This is your floor. But here's the beautiful thing about wake up calls. They are invitations. They are opportunities. They are not here to break you. They are here to shake you. Because if life didn't shake you, you'd stay asleep forever. Think about it. If things were just tolerable, if things were just fine, you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't be listening to this. You'd be too comfortable. The fact that you're here, the fact that you're seeking, the fact that a part of you is restless and hungry, that's proof that this is your moment. Now I want to challenge you. Is the wake-up call in your life right now that you've been ignoring? What is that one area where you know you've been lying to yourself, where you've been settling, where you've been saying, it's okay when it's not okay? Because until you face it, until you acknowledge it, nothing will change. Awareness is the first step to transformation. If you don't see it, you can't shift it. But once you allow yourself to see it, to really feel it, you can't unsee it. That's where power is born. You see, the reason most people don't change is because they wait for the pain to get unbearable. They wait for the breakdown, the crisis, the rock bottom. They wait until the relationship is beyond repair, till the body is broken, until the money is gone, until the time has slipped away. Why wait until life slams you to a wall when you can make the decision now? The strongest people aren't the ones who wait until life forces their hand. Strongest people are the ones who respond to the whisper before it becomes a scream. So let's be real. What is your whisper right now? Maybe it's the way your body feels every morning when you wake up exhausted. Maybe it's the way your heart aches because you know you're not living your passion. Maybe it's the loneliness that creeps in even when you're surrounded by people. Maybe it's the thought that comes back again and again. There's got to be more than this. That's not random. That's your sign. That's your inner GPS pointing you toward the life you're meant to live. And here's the deal. The wake up call doesn't go away just because you ignore it. It gets louder, it gets heavier. It shows up in ways you can't hide from. Stress becomes illness, frustration becomes anger, disconnection becomes emptiness. And then people look back and wonder, did I get here? You got here because you didn't answer the call when it was just a whisper. But the beauty is you don't have to wait for disaster. You don't have to wait for life to collapse. You can answer now. I'll tell you this. The greatest transformations don't happen in comfort. They happen in the decision to finally answer that call. They happen in the moment you say, enough. I'm done living like this. ready to step into who I really am. And that moment is available to you right now. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter how many times you've ignored it before. Matters is that you decide now to stop hitting snooze and to get up, to rise, to answer the call. Because if you ignore it, the pain of staying the same will eventually outweigh the fear of change. And when that happens, wish you had acted sooner. But if you choose to listen now, if you choose to honor that voice within you, then this moment right here becomes the turning point. This moment becomes the line in the sand where you say, no more. This is the day I take back my life. So I want you to let this sink in. This is not just another message, another speech, another moment you scroll past or forget about tomorrow. This is your sign. Out of all the people in the world, you're here, hearing this, feeling this right now. That's a chance. That's alignment. That's destiny. And if you can embrace it, if you can seize it, then years from now, you'll look back at this very moment and say, that's the day everything changed. Because the wake up call you've been waiting for is happening right now. When people tell me they want to change their life, when they say they're ready for something more, always listen closely to the words that follow. Because what usually comes right after is the list of reasons why they can't. They tell me about their past, their circumstances, their family, their lack of time, their lack of money, their lack of opportunity. And I understand it because I've been there too. It feels so easy, so natural to point outward, to say, I could be more if only this hadn't happened, or I would go for it. They don't support me. It's the story of excuses, and excuses are comfortable because they protect you from responsibility. They give you a reason to stay where you are. But the truth is, excuses may protect you from blame. They also protect you from progress. Here's the brutal reality most people don't want to face. The moment you give your power away to an excuse, you sign away the future you're capable of living. Every time you say, I can't because, you're writing a contract with mediocrity. You're handing over control of your destiny to something outside of yourself. And as long as that story runs your life, you'll stay stuck. Not because you don't have potential, not because you're not good enough, but because you refuse to take ownership of the one thing you actually have control over, your choices. Ownership is the dividing line between people who transform and people who stay trapped. Ownership says, maybe it's not my fault that I was dealt these cards, but it is my responsibility to decide how I play them. Ownership says, yes, I may have been hurt, I may have been betrayed, I may have been knocked down. I refuse to let that define the rest of my story. Ownership is when you stop waiting for the world to change and you decide that you're going to change. Think about it this way. Every time you make an excuse, you build a wall between yourself and your potential. One excuse becomes a brick. Another excuse becomes another brick. Over time, you've built a fortress around yourself, and then you wonder why you feel trapped. But the truth is, you built the walls. The moment you take ownership, you realize you can tear them down. You don't need someone else to rescue you. You don't need the perfect conditions. You don't need the world to be fair. You need to step up and take back the steering wheel of your life. I'll give you an example. I've met people who came from nothing, broken homes, poverty, abuse, zero opportunities. And I've also met people who had every advantage: money, support, connections, education. And you know what's fascinating? Some of the people with the hardest beginnings became the most unstoppable, the most fulfilled, the most alive. And some of the people with all the advantages ended up living miserable, fulfilled lives. Why? Because the difference wasn't circumstance. The difference was ownership. The ones who thrived made a decisions. My past does not equal my future. My excuses don't run me. I do. The others, they kept handing over their power to their stories. And I want you to hear me on this. You cannot control everything that happens in your life. You cannot control where you were born, who your parents are, or some of the pain you've been through. You can always control how you respond. That's the one freedom no one can take from you. And the second you embrace that, the second you stop pointing outward and start looking inward, that's the moment your life begins to shift. Because responsibility is not a burden, it's liberation. It means you're no longer at the mercy of anyone or anything. It means the pen is back in your hand. But here's the problem: ownership is scary, because when you stop making excuses, you no longer have anything to hide behind. If you fail, it's on you. If you don't follow through, it's on you. And that kind of accountability can feel overwhelming, but let me flip it for you. Yes, it's scary. It's also the most empowering thing in the world, because if it's on you, then the power is yours. If it's on you, then you can change it. If it's on you, then nothing and no one can stop you. You to think about the excuses you've been carrying. Maybe you've been saying, I can't change my health because my parents didn't teach me good habits. Or I can't start the business because I don't have enough money. Or I can't improve my relationship because the other person won't change. Stop for a moment and realize what you're doing. You're placing the key to your future in someone else's hands. You're saying your dreams, your happiness, your fulfillment are dependent on someone or something outside of you. That's the fastest way to guarantee you'll never experience the life you're capable of. But the second you shift into ownership, the game changes. Ownership says, maybe I don't know how yet, but I can learn. Ownership says, maybe I don't have the resources now, but I can get resourceful. Ownership says, maybe they won't change, but I can. And if I change, everything changes. Ownership doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. It doesn't mean it will be easy, but it does mean you'll finally be free because you've stopped outsourcing your power. And let me tell you this, excuses feel safe in the short term, but they cost you everything in the long term. They cost you your dreams, your confidence, your growth, your impact. Ownership feels heavy in the short term, but it gives you everything in the long term. It gives you strength, resilience, freedom, pride, fulfillment. It allows you to look back at your life one day and know you lived it on your terms. So I'm asking you right now to make that shift, to stop defending your excuses and start defending your future, to stop protecting your limitations and start protecting your possibilities, to stop saying, I can't because, and start saying, I will because I choose to. Because the truth is you don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You don't need someone to come save you. What you need is to stop giving your power away to excuses and take ownership of your life. And when you do, everything changes. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to break through barriers that stop everyone else, why some rise when others quit, why some create lives that look impossible from the outside, it all comes down to one thing: mindset. The human mind is the most powerful tool you have, and yet for most people, it's the very thing holding them back. It's not their talent, not their resources, not their circumstances, it's the way they think. Because the reality is, you will never act consistently in a way that contradicts your beliefs. If your mind is wired to tell you that you're limited, unworthy, or stuck, then no matter what opportunities come your way, you'll sabotage them. You won't even see half of them. Because your brain filters the world to match what you believe. I want you to imagine this. From the time you were a child, you've been programmed, not always intentionally, but through the words you heard, the experiences you had, the people around you. If you grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, people like us don't succeed, or be realistic, don't get your hopes up, then those words became seeds. And over time, those seeds grew into beliefs. And now, without even realizing it, those beliefs have become the walls of your life. You keep bumping up against them, wondering why you can't break through, when the truth is, you built them in your own mind. But here's the good news. Just because you were conditioned one way doesn't mean you have to stay that way. The mind is like a muscle. It can be trained, rewired, reprogrammed. And when you change your beliefs, you change your entire life because your beliefs shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. Think about it. If you believe you're not good enough, will you ever fully step into opportunities? No. You'll hold back, you'll hesitate, you'll settle for less. If you believe success is only for other people, will you ever fight for yours? No, you'll shrink the moment things get hard. But if you believe you are capable, if you believe possibility is real, if you believe life can expand beyond what you see right now, then suddenly doors open where you thought there were walls. Suddenly, you see solutions instead of problems. Suddenly, you find the courage to act even when fear is screaming in your ear. This isn't some fluffy idea, it's reality. Your brain has something called a reticular activating system. It's like a filter. It decides what you notice and what you ignore. If you believe the world is against you, you'll see evidence of it everywhere. But if you believe opportunities are everywhere, your brain will start pointing them out. The opportunities were always there. You just couldn't see them through the fog of your own beliefs. So the real question is, story are you telling yourself right now? Because that story is either the prison keeping you trapped or the key that sets you free. Are you telling yourself you can't change because you failed before? Are you telling yourself it's too late because of your age? Are you telling yourself you're not worthy because of mistakes you've made? Or are you telling yourself that your past is not your future, that failure is just feedback, that you are worthy because you're alive and breathing right now? The difference between the life you're living and the life you're capable of is the story you choose to believe. And the moment you change that story, you change your life. Now, you to think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you. Do you think they never had doubts? Do you think they never had fear? Of course they did. The difference is they chose not to let those voices be the final word. They rewired their minds to see challenges as opportunities, to see setbacks as stepping stones, to see fear as fuel. That's why they live the way they do. Not because they were luckier, not because they were smarter, because they trained their minds to serve them instead of sabotage them. And you can do the same, but it starts with awareness. You can't change a pattern you don't recognize. So pay attention to the words you use, the thoughts that repeat, limits you place on yourself. Start catching the lies you've been telling yourself for years. Because once you catch them, you can challenge them. And once you challenge them, you can replace them. And the moment you replace them, your world begins to expand. For example, instead of saying, I can't do this, you say, I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out. Instead of saying, I always mess things up, you say, every mistake is teaching me something I need to succeed. Instead of saying, I'll never change, you say, I am in the process of becoming stronger every day. These shifts may sound small, but they are massive. Because every time you rewire one thought, you shift your entire trajectory. And here's the truth, this isn't about pretending everything is perfect. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about choosing the perspective that empowers you instead of enslaves you. It's about deciding that your mind will work for you, not against you. And once you do, the possibilities in front of you multiply. The difference between a life of limitation and a life of possibility is not the absence of fear, failure, or hardship. It's the presence of a mindset that says, no matter what, I will find a way. That's the mindset that builds breakthroughs. That's the mindset that turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. That's the mindset that will change your life if you choose it. So right now, I want you to see this moment as a reset button for your mind. Whatever you've believed up until now, you don't have to carry it forward. You get to decide what story you're going to live in. And the story you choose will shape every action from here on out. Choose to believe in possibility. Choose to believe in your strength. Choose to believe that life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Because when you rewire your mindset, you don't just change the way you think. You change the way you live. Most people get stuck because they believe change has to be massive, whelming, almost impossible. They think if they're going to turn their life around, it has to happen all at once. They look at the mountain of where they want to be, and they compare it to where they are now, and it feels too big, too far, too heavy. Because it feels impossible. They don't start, they wait, they stall, they convince themselves they'll move when they're ready. But here's the truth, change doesn't happen in one giant leap. It happens in small, consistent shifts that seem almost insignificant in the moment, but become unstoppable when compounded over time. Think about it, a plane leaving Los Angeles headed for New York, if it shifts its nose just a couple of degrees, we'll end up in Washington, D.C. Instead, the difference is tiny at the start, almost unnoticeable, but over time it completely changes the destination. That's how life works. One small shift in your daily actions, in your habits, in your focus, can take you to an entirely different life if you stick with it long enough. The problem is, people underestimate the small shifts. They want the dramatic moment, they want the lightning bolt, the instant breakthrough, big transformation story they can tell everyone about. But what actually changes a life is the decision to take one small action and repeat it until it becomes who you are. It's not about running a marathon tomorrow. It's about lacing up your shoes and walking around the block today. It's not about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about deciding you'll stop spending recklessly and start saving consistently. It's not about instantly having the perfect relationship. It's about choosing to communicate with love, respect, and honesty one day at a time. The truth is, you don't get overwhelmed when you think about the step in front of you. You get overwhelmed when you think about all the steps at once. And that's why so many people quit before they start. They're looking at the mountain instead of the step. But if you can shift your focus, if you can say, I have to do today is one action that moves me forward, then suddenly it's not so overwhelming. Suddenly it's doable. And when it's doable, you act. And when you act consistently, momentum builds. And momentum is what transforms everything. Momentum is a funny thing. It starts small, like pushing a boulder. At first, it feels impossible, like nothing is moving. But with every push, with every effort, it starts to budge. And once it starts rolling, it takes on a life of its own. That's how success works. That's how transformation works. It feels slow, it feels hard, it feels like nothing is happening in the beginning. But those small, consistent shifts are laying the foundation for unstoppable momentum. You'd ask yourself, what's one small shift you could make right now? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to focus on yourself instead of scrolling through your phone. Maybe it's replacing one unhealthy meal with something that fuels your body. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book instead of watching another show. Maybe it's making one phone call you've been putting off. Whatever it is, don't underestimate it. That one small action might feel tiny in the moment, but over time it can completely reshape your life. And here's the other piece. You've got to celebrate those small wins. Because when you acknowledge your progress, no matter how small, you reinforce the belief that you are moving forward. Too many people dismiss their progress because it doesn't look dramatic enough. They lose 5 pounds and say, it's nothing. They save a little money and say, it's not much. They practice a new skill for a week and say, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It all matters because every small shift you make is proof that you are changing. And the more you reinforce that, the stronger your identity becomes. And your identity drives your actions. Remember this? Your life doesn't change when you do something once. Your life changes when you shift your standards and reinforce them with daily action. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about building habits that align with the life you want. And habits aren't built in a day. They're built in the small, consistent choices you make every single day. People love to talk about willpower, but the truth is, willpower fades, habits last. And the way you build habits is through repetition of small shifts until they become automatic. And once they become automatic, they stop draining your energy. They stop feeling like work. They just become who you are. And that's when transformation becomes permanent. So let's stop pretending you need to overhaul your entire life in one moment. Let's stop pretending you have to have it all figured out. You just need to commit to small daily shifts that stack over time. Because here's what happens. Those shifts create momentum. Momentum creates confidence, and confidence creates transformation. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you are living a completely different life. Not because of one big leap, but because of the small, consistent steps you refuse to give up on. I'll leave you with this thought. The future version of you One living the life you dream about is built by the small shifts you choose to make today. Fear is the invisible chain that holds most people back from ever experiencing the life they're truly capable of living. What makes it so dangerous is that it disguises itself as protection. It whispers, stay safe, don't risk it, don't fail, don't get hurt. And because it feels protective, most people listen to it. They convince themselves that avoiding fear is the smart choice, the responsible choice, the safe choice. But let me tell you the truth, the greatest danger in life isn't fear itself. Greatest danger is living trapped in the prison of comfort and calling it safety. Comfort is seductive. Comfort tells you you're fine where you are. Don't push, don't stretch, don't challenge yourself. Just keep doing what you've always done. And in the short term, comfort feels good. It feels easy, it feels secure. But in the long term, comfort is deadly because comfort kills growth. Comfort kills passion. Comfort kills dreams. You don't lose your fire because of one big event. You lose it slowly, quietly, through years of choosing comfort over courage, fear over freedom. I want you to think about this, everything you've ever wanted, every goal, every dream, every breakthrough, it all lives on the other side of fear, the body you want, the business you want, the relationship you want, the impact you want. It doesn't exist in the zone of comfort. It exists in the zone of uncertainty, risk, and growth. The price of admission to that zone is facing your fear. But here's the twist. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a compass. Fear points directly to the areas of your life where growth is possible. If you're afraid of speaking up, that's a sign that your voice matters and you're meant to use it. If you're afraid of failing, that's a sign that success is waiting for you on the other side of trying. If you're afraid of leaving the familiar, that's a sign that your next level won't be found where you are. The mistake people make is thinking fear means stop. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means go. You see, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act in spite of fear. It's easy to be confident when there's nothing at stake. It's easy to feel strong when there's no resistance. But real power, real strength is forged in the fire of fear. It's when your hands are shaking, your voice is trembling, your mind is screaming, don't do it. And you do it anyway. That's the moment you grow. That's the moment you expand. That's the moment you break free. Now, let's be honest. Fear will never fully go away. No matter how much you grow, no matter how much you achieve, there will always be a new level that scares you. And that's a good thing. Because if you're not feeling fear, you're not stretching. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So the goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to change your relationship with it, to stop seeing it as a wall and start seeing it as a doorway. And here's what I know. The more you step into fear, the more you train your nervous system to handle it. At first, every step feels terrifying, but with repetition, you build resilience. You build strength. What used to scare you becomes your new normal. What once felt impossible becomes who you are. That's how growth works. You expand your capacity one courageous step at a time. Think about the times in your life when you've been most alive. Were you sitting in comfort? Or were you stepping into something uncertain, something that challenged you, something that stretched you beyond what you thought you could do? That's when you felt alive. That's when you felt proud. That's when you discovered your power. And if you want more of that, you have to stop waiting for the fear to disappear and start moving through it. Comfort is tempting because it feels like safety, but the truth is comfort is the slow death of potential. You weren't born to live a small, safe, predictable life. You were born to grow, to expand, to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible. And that requires you to leave behind the familiar and step into the unknown. It requires you to stop letting fear be the driver of your decisions. So ask yourself, fear has been holding you hostage. What dream have you delayed because you're waiting for the fear to go away? What part of your life have you settled for because comfort convinced you it was good enough? Very thing you're afraid of may be the key to your breakthrough. The very thing you're avoiding may be the doorway to your next chapter. And the longer you wait, the heavier the regret becomes. Because here's the thing about fear and comfort. They're not static. If you keep choosing comfort, your comfort zone actually shrinks. What used to feel easy starts to feel hard. What used to feel possible starts to feel out of reach. If you choose courage, if you keep stepping into fear, your comfort zone expands. The things that once terrified you become normal, and you unlock a new level of freedom. So don't run from fear. Don't hide from it. Face it, embrace it, use it. Let it be the sign that you're on the right path. Let it be the fuel that drives you. Because the more you do, the less power it has over you. One day, you'll look back and realize that the fears that once controlled you have become the very things that set you free. And if there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's this: your greatest life will never be found in comfort. Only be found in the places that scare you, stretch you, and demand more of you. So stop waiting for fear to vanish. Stop hiding in comfort. Step forward, even if your knees are shaking, even if your voice is trembling, even if your heart is pounding. It trans freedom, fulfillment, and transformation live on the other side of fear. There comes a point in life when you realize that your choices are not just about you. The way you live, the way you show up, the way you handle your struggles and your victories, it's not happening in a vacuum. Whether you see it or not, people are watching you. Your kids are watching, your friends are watching, your coworkers are watching, the people you love are watching. More importantly, you are watching yourself. Every decision you make sends a message. It either says, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what's possible, or it says, this is what I'll tolerate, this is where I give up, this is where I settle. You're either becoming the example or the excuse. Think about it. When you step up, when you decide to grow, when you push past fear and break through limitations, you don't just change your life, you light a path for others. You show them what's possible. You show them that the excuses they've been holding on to don't have to define them. You show them that courage is contagious, that strength is transferable. But when you shrink, when you settle, you give in to fear or comfort, you don't just let yourself down. You give permission to everyone around you to do the same. Most people underestimate the influence they have. They think, who am I to inspire anyone? Am I to lead by example? But influence isn't about fame. It isn't about standing on a stage. It isn't about having a title. Influence is about how you live. It's about the energy you bring into a room. It's about the standards you hold yourself to. It's about the example you set every single day in the ordinary moments when no one seems to be paying attention. Because make no mistake, they are paying attention. Child watches how their parent responds to stress and learns what to do with their own fear. A friend watches how you handle adversity and learns how to face their own battles. A partner watches how you love yourself and learns how to love you in return. Stranger watches how you treat people and decides what kindness means. You are always teaching, always influencing, always impacting, whether you intend to or not. The question is, what lesson are you teaching? What example are you leaving behind? There's a responsibility in that, and it's not a burden, it's an opportunity. It means your life is meaning beyond just yourself. It means that by choosing to rise, you give others permission to rise too. By becoming the example, you expand not just your own possibilities, but the possibilities of everyone you touch. And when you think about it, what greater legacy is there than that? But here's the challenge. Becoming the example requires you to raise your standards, requires you to demand more from yourself than the world demands from you. It requires you to stop living by good enough and start living by what's possible. And that's not easy, because when you raise your standards, you'll face resistance, not just from others, but from within yourself. You'll face the voice that says, why bother? Who cares? No one's watching. And that's where you have to remind yourself, even if no one else sees it, you see it. You know when you're living beneath what you're capable of. You know when you're hiding. You know when you're making excuses. And if you keep making excuses for yourself, you become the kind of person who makes excuses for everything. If you keep holding yourself accountable, you become the kind of person who creates breakthroughs in everything. And the people around you, whether it's your family, your friends, your team, or even strangers, will feel that energy and rise with you. This is why leadership has nothing to do with position and everything to do with example. The greatest leaders in the world didn't wait for a title. They didn't wait for permission. They decided to lead themselves first. And in doing so, they inspired others to follow. And that's the same decision in front of you right now. Will you lead yourself? Will you set the example? You become the person who shows others what's possible instead of reinforcing the story of why it can't be done. Because here's what I know. You're not just changing your life when you do this. You're changing generations. A parent breaks the cycle of fear, poverty, or limitation. They don't just shift their own path. They shift the path of every child that comes after them. When a person decides to live with courage and integrity, they set a new standard for everyone connected to them. That's how transformation ripples out. That's how a single choice in one life becomes a revolution in many lives. And isn't that what you really want? To know that your life mattered, your choices mattered, that your courage mattered, not just for you, but for the people you love, for the people you touch, for the people who will never even know your name, but will be better because of the example you set. That's the power you hold when you stop being the excuse and start being the example. But it doesn't happen tomorrow. It doesn't happen someday. It happens the moment you decide. It happens when you wake up and say, done settling, done waiting, I'm done excusing. From this day forward, I'm going to live in a way that inspires myself and inspires others. And when you live from that place, something shifts inside of you. You stop needing motivation because you've become your own motivation. You stop looking for role models because you've become one. And the people around you, they feel it, they see it, and they rise because of it. So I want you to take this to heart. Every choice you make is either building your excuses or building your example. Every action, every habit, every standard either lowers the bar or raises it. And you have the power to decide moment by moment which one you're building. At the end of your life, no one will remember the excuses. They'll remember the example.